Welcome to Quiet Enough to Ride, part of the Beyond the Chutes podcast. I'm Doug Simcox, and along with my partner Sam Swearingen, we're here to talk about the rodeo mindset. It's about more than just competition. It's about building the mental toughness, focus, and resilience that carry you through the challenges in your life. With over 100 years of combined rodeo and life experience, Sam and I share practical insights and hard-earned lessons to help you build a stronger mindset. This is episode 9, It Is As It Is. Today we're diving into the importance of accepting reality as it unfolds. In rodeo and in life, things don't always go as planned. We'll explore how letting go of resistance and staying present with what's happening can free up mental energy, improve your focus, and help you make better decisions in the moment. We'll see how these ideas can enhance your rodeo performance and make a difference in every part of your life. Let's get started. This is Quiet Enough to Ride. Welcome to Beyond the Chutes is presented by Parasite Systems. I'm your host today, Doug Simcox, and I'm coming to you from Taylorsville, Kentucky. And my good friend Sam, my co-host, rodeo stock contractor, award-winning rodeo stock contractor, was the owner of the Rawhide Rodeo Company. And you are back on the road. You're headed from Sulphur Springs down to Dallas tonight.
Yeah, just a little north of Dallas.
Okay.
Yeah.
And as we talked last night, Sam, Brad Nelms, BSN Productions rodeo stock contractor, was killed in an airplane crash a week ago. Wonderful wife, Chelsea, and 3 little boys and a little girl. There is a fundraiser that I have found, Rustic Edge Designs.com, online, beautiful t-shirts that Chelsea's actually designed, and we're going to go online. We're going to get some t-shirts bought, but go and support.
Yeah. Oh, God bless her. God bless the kids. I guess you don't realize how many people you affect till you're not here anymore.
You bet. And great young man, just a great family man, rodeo cowboy. He was all in, Sam. When he did something, he was absolutely all in and very devoted to the sport, to this way of life, took good care of his livestock and was raising 4 wonderful kids.
I didn't know him real well, but when you met him, you knew he was kind of a go-get type person. He wasn't going to slack off in any aspect. He was going to go full steam ahead.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. And in our series here, and this is actually episode number 8 of our series, perspective, right? How we view life, how we view those around us, and some of the challenges we face, and this kind of a wake-up call, I think, to just understand what's important in life. And yeah, I guess that's about what I have to say on that, Sam. Perspective, missing a bronc out or missing a throw or whatever it may be, that's nothing, as they say. That's just absolutely nothing.
Yeah, it just puts it real. You don't, at the time that means a lot to you, but it's absolutely nothing.
Yep. And as we head into the holidays, Christmas and everything that's coming, what a wonderful time to be with family. And hoping that this series is maybe helpful at these family gatherings. They can be kind of trying sometimes, and having patience, remembering kindness, remembering love, and all the things that we already are. That's what we need right now in the world. More kindness, more caring, and that sort of thing. So yeah, holidays coming up, Sam.
'Tis the season. It should be all year, but 'tis the season.
'Tis the season. 'Tis the season. Absolutely. Speaking of season, 5th round of the National Finals Rodeo's in the book. Sam, I've now just crossed the $200,000 line. And what's interesting on my Pro Fantasy Rodeo team is yesterday there were 83% of the teams were ranked higher than me. And today, even after Haven Majid come to town and won 26,000, now there's 86% of the teams are ranked higher than me. But I'm a glass half full guy, so I'm still better than 14% of the teams that are out there, Sam.
There you go. You got to be positive. Take one good thing out of your run. Take one good thing out of your pick. You're beating somebody. So
Yep. And what's really stood out for me this year is I look at my winning and my not winning in this contest. These are real people that are making the runs and the rides every night, and quite a few of them that I've chosen are struggling, and that just points to how incredibly difficult these finals really, really are. When you have the top 15 best cowboys in the country and best cowgirls in the country, just how incredibly difficult it is to win. What was it, 4th round, Sam? There were 4 ropers that tied with a 4.1 second. There were 4 teams at team roping, right? Team roping?
Right. Team roping that split the round, 1st through 4th.
With a 4.1. I mean, that's number one. Those are incredibly fast times. I know they're running some in the 3s on occasion, but man, to have 4 teams, you're a 4-2 and barely in the money at that point, Sam.
Yeah, it's very good watching the game. The fantasy rodeo game's fun. It adds a little more excitement to it. It's good. Now, Doug, you're talking these percentages and all that. Did you know?
Yeah.
One year, I was doing very well.
Yeah.
Extremely well. And I got up one morning and looked at it. I was in New York at the time, so I fell asleep through stuff, And
yeah.
I look at it and, one day there's 5% ahead of me and 3%. And then one day I get up 0% ahead of me.
Wow.
0%. So I think I'm winning this thing.
Yeah.
0%. I'm the best.
You are the best. Absolutely.
But
no.
That 0%, there were still 100 people in that 0%.
In the 0%. It was that tight. It was that tight.
Yeah, so I was like 30th or something. Ended up like 26th overall or something. Okay. Take the good with the bad and keep going.
That's right.
That's what I'm going to do put us in segue into what we're going to talk about today.
Okay. Rodeo mindset. And we're just a few weeks right now. We're closing in on a month. We're about 5 weeks away right now from the IFYR 55, the International Finals Rodeo number 55. It all started in 1970. And we've talked on the show, Sam, with a bunch of cowboys that were there at that IFYR. But that's going to take place January 16th through the 19th. That, of course, is in 2025. And for everybody, the new rodeo season's begun. And it's a time now, and while it's a little bit slow, in between events and places you can get to, it's time to prepare for the 2025 rodeo season. And that's why we put this podcast together, this podcast series, Sam, hoping that it can be used as a tool and can benefit these rodeo competitors. And it's more than just rodeo, because this is a 3 R's podcast series. Sam, and 3 R's are?
Rodeo, racing, and wrestling.
And wrestling, absolutely. And we want to dedicate this series, Sam, to the teachers, the coaches, the mentors, You just recently, today, I believe, you spoke with Marv Schimmel, your high school wrestling coach. He had listened to the show that we had recorded with him when I was up there in October. Any feedback you want to share on that conversation?
Well, he just called me to thank me and say how much he appreciated doing it, and hoped it helps some young kids as much as it made him feel good that what he did over the years that helped people.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Bring back memories. He just enjoyed it.
Good. And what a great podcast to our listeners. If you haven't heard it, go and listen to it. I think it's number 115, Marv Schimmel. He's a New York Section 5 Hall of Fame wrestling coach and was Sam's coach in high school. So just wonderful to have him on. And we dedicate, as I said, we dedicate this series to the teachers, the coaches, and the mentors. And he's one great example of what that was like, Sam. At a very crucial part of our time, part of our lives, the right people step in like Marv stepped into your life.
And I hope that there's a lot of people that step in, and you need to, and listen to me out there, kids. Let the right people in. Wrong people can make you turn the wrong way. The right people can put you on the path you want to be on.
Yep.
And I wasn't always on the right path, but I just hope you'll figure out what path you want to run.
You bet. You bet. No, that's exactly right. Good. Well said, Sam. Good words of wisdom there. So we are going to continue our 3 R's Rodeo podcast series called Quiet Enough to Ride. And today we're going to dive into a powerful concept that's key to mindfulness and peak performance in rodeo. There's a saying, it is as it is. Today we're going to be talking about that. Philosophers have wrote about this for years. This concept of it is as it is has been around for a very, very long time. And one prominent Stoic philosopher wrote, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. Let me say that again. It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. In one of our upcoming podcasts, Sam, we're going to be talking about the empowerment dynamic. And in that, Viktor Frankl, he was a lawyer, a philosopher as well. And he said the only true freedom we have is our choice to respond to anything that is thrown at us. Our only true freedom. They can take everything else away. And he was in a concentration camp in Germany during World War II. Yeah, so this it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. This reflects the essence of accepting situations as they are. Such a simple phrase, but it holds such a deep truth. In the world of rodeo, where so much is unpredictable, think of it, your draw, the weather, the footing, the stock, it's easy to feel frustrated and overwhelmed. But when you learn to embrace the mindset of it is as it is, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. We're going to talk a little bit about suffering and unlock the ability to focus, adapt, and perform at your best. So let's start with, what does it is as it is mean? In the deepest sense, it's about acceptance. It's about acceptance. It's acknowledging reality, what's happening right now in this moment, without fighting against it or wishing it were different. In rodeo, this could mean accepting a challenging draw without complaining, acknowledging less than ideal weather conditions without letting it derail your mindset, and here's a big one, Sam. It's letting go of a mistake in a previous run so it doesn't affect the next one. And we've been in those situations, Sam. You travel down the road thinking about the last ride or a mistake you made in the last ride? You've done that, haven't you?
Many times. And it's so hard to forget it. But and it just worried me to death when I messed up. It just worried me to death.
Yeah.
And I can't change what I did.
Right.
You
Right.
rewrite it in your mind,
Yeah.
but that doesn't change anything. And so as you go on in life, you learn. Okay, yeah, you made a mistake. Learn from that mistake, but don't dwell on it. It's over.
Yeah.
Move forward.
Yeah.
But I was always, especially if I missed one out. Oh my goodness, it just tore me up. But
so, what do you think that being torn up was about? Meaning, because you'd failed?
I didn't do what I was supposed to do
Okay.
at that time.
Okay.
That's whether I didn't consider failing. I didn't think of it that way. I just didn't do what I was supposed to do.
Didn't do what you were supposed to do. Okay.
And you don't have control of these rounds, but they're going to leave the chute. They might leave the chute forward. They might leave it backwards.
Yep.
Yep. They're going to leave there. And that's kind of the only thing what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And, other than that, they have free reign.
Who do you think? I mean, who didn't? You didn't do what you needed to do. You didn't do what you should do. Who were you disappointing?
Well, me and my family were the only ones affected by it.
Okay. So monetary, Sam?
I don't know. I'm sure you thought of that, especially if it was a big one,
Mm-hmm.
And I guess it doesn't matter, big ones or little ones. If you entered it, you plan on winning.
I see.
So,
I see. And did it ever run through your mind, oh my, maybe I'll never mark one out again properly? Was that ever a thought?
No.
Okay.
It didn't go to there. It went to, I'm going to get it right.
Okay.
And I'm not. The next one will be right.
So when did that mindset change from I made a mistake, I didn't do what I was supposed to do? When did it change to, okay, now we're going to plunge ahead. Now I know I can do it. You know you can mark out broncs better than anybody, right?
Not better than anybody, but I was pretty good at it.
You bet. So, yeah.
The change of beating myself up never did. It didn't change. I always beat myself up when I did bad.
Okay. So did the next ride solve it?
Usually. I say usually. Yeah, it did in most of the time, unless it was a really big screw up or expensive screw up.
Yeah. Okay. But it was never about doubting your ability. In other words, I screwed up. I didn't mark them out. I now doubt my ability to ride. It's like, have I forgotten how to ride? Did that ever cross your mind?
No.
Okay.
No, that didn't cross my mind there.
Mm-hmm.
As I got into years, I caught myself doing things to compensate for my ability to be as good as I used to be.
Yeah.
And that started crossing my mind. I'd kind of lean in towards what way the horse is going to leave, or I might swing the one foot a little quicker than the other instead of both of them at the same time.
Yep.
So you just compensate for your lack of ability at that point.
As you got older in it, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the reason I'm putting you on the spot, this to me is kind of a thinking about your thinking, right? And if we could logically think about our thinking, logically, it's not like, that ain't the first, one could say, well, I think the first bronc you missed out, Sam, in your entire life may not be the last bronc you miss out in your entire life. However, you're about 98% markout percentage. And turn that thinking around just a little bit and really getting to the bottom of what is it I'm really there's a saying that I love. I'm not upset for the reason I think I am. That there's a feeling of disappointing someone. And that's why I was saying, who did you not perform for? Was it you? Was it the family? Was it your parents? Was it you? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, I don't mean put you on the spot. I'm just, for our listeners, we have to be curious about this stuff.
Yeah. And I think, and I, like everybody, you want to win.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You want to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I had that driving desire to win, to be a world champion. I wanted to at least let them know that I was good enough to beat them.
Yep.
And I was okay with that.
Yep.
And hindsight, that was foolish, but it was, there's so much more I could have done, I think, because I just, okay, yep, I showed them I can beat them.
Yeah.
But push comes to shove, they get the world champion buckle and I don't.
You bet.
And so they beat me.
Yeah. And different time, right? Just in these moments, being kind with oneself, different time, family and job and responsibilities, right? So there was a lot of elements that fed into that.
Yeah, and I'm not sorry I did what I did, how I went. I enjoyed every bit of it. I had a business that my partner ran most of the time for me, with me. He did most of the work, and I thought rodeo, but it was good, and I had a lot of opportunities that other people did not.
Yeah, and you performed exceptionally well, my friend, exceptionally well. So what we're going through is kind of an exercise in letting go, right? And there's a concept called game filming. Quarterbacks, when they go to the line, they have been taught through watching film, hey, when you're defensive, when your linebackers do this or your cornerbacks do that, we want you to that's representing a different defense. We want you to call an audible at the line, okay? And run a different play. And the more we game film this stuff outside, off the football field, the more we build that muscle, we're able to go onto the field and without thought, just because we've learned the skill, things happen on the field. I see a defensive move and I do an audible and change the play. And this game filming you just went through, we might get into that in the future, but it's an exercise in letting go. And and here is, we talk about celebrating successes. Number one, can we let go? And you did ultimately let go, right? Of the miss mark out. You ultimately let go, whether that was 14 hours later or the next ride or by 2 days later, whatever it is. It reminds me of this too shall pass, right? This too shall pass. Right. And I like what you said, you can't change what's occurred, right? Best I can do is deal with the consequences. I get to deal with the consequences, but if I'm still caught up in what occurred, I can't shift into a mode that says, okay, I didn't win money where I thought I'd win money, like Kelly Page talking, if I don't win money, I have to go home. So do I need to go put in some overtime this next week, to replenish my bank account or whatever the case may be? but it's an exercise in letting go. And how do we let go in the moment? So we let go after a few hours, absolutely, and we all go through it. But ultimately, these things pass through, or at least they get pressed down into a place where they're not as noticeable. A lot of these memories we hold on to for a long time. We just do. And Kelly Jones, my driving instructor, he has something. He was a F-16 fighter pilot, Sam. And he went to the Air Force Academy out in Colorado Springs. He was an F-16 fighter pilot, and they turned him into an F-16 fighter pilot trainer. And that's a mentality he brings to the racetrack. And super smart and super organized and just can see things that he's very observant. But he talks about something called the OODA, O-O-D-A loop, which stands for observe, orient, decide, and act. It's a way to make decisions quickly in situations that change fast. First, you observe what's happening around you to gather information. Next, you orient by understanding what that information means and how it fits in with what you already know. Then you decide the best action to take, and finally you act on your decision. Racing, we use this all the time. I go into turn one and I notice that I'm wide on my exit leaving turn one. I observe that. I make a note of that. I assess the situation and say, okay, my entry was a little bit off. I decide the next lap I'm going to change it up. But right now, I'm not going to worry about it till I got 2 minutes before I finish up my lap and I come back around to that. So now I decide what I'm going to do in turn one. I act in turn one. And again, I sit there and I say, okay, how did that come across? I observe. Did I feel, was my exit better? Was it more precise? Is there something I need to do? And every lap, I have run so many laps on on a single track. And I'm telling you, you never run the perfect lap. So every single lap you are adjusting. Every single lap you are adjusting rather. And that's in good condition. When rain comes, oh my gosh, it's a completely different deal. And I actually like driving in the rain because you have to quiet yourself. You're not amped up in the corners. You are quieting yourself because it's finesse at that point. It's light hands. It's easy braking. It's really not exaggerating anything. And I actually enjoy running in the rain. But acceptance of what is, and that's getting back to that. It's wishing, and Sam, think of this, think of your thoughts that going down the road, you missed a bronc out. And let me just lay this out there. So wishing things were different creates frustration, anger, and distraction. But when we accept what is, we create space to focus on solutions, adapt to challenges, and move forward. When we don't want what is, we suffer. When we don't want what was, meaning it's happened in the past, we suffer. And the logical concept, the logical thought is, it's happened. And you already said this, I can't change what happened. It happened. And while something's happening, I may not be able to change what's happening in the moment. I can't stop what's happening possibly. I can only respond. And that's where in our last episode, we talked about awareness. We talked about presence and focus. And with awareness, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? What's going on around me? Gathering factual data, I have a choice. I can choose. So in rodeo mindset, we have examples of it is as it is. Like missing a catch in tie-down roping. Frustrated reaction, I can't believe I missed that calf. Everything was perfect. Mindful acceptance of that is, it is as it is. I missed, factual, but I'll practice my release and be ready for the next run. Challenging draw in the bull riding. Frustrated reaction. This bull is impossible. Why do I always get the worst ones? Mindful acceptance. This bull is tough, but it is as it is. I'll stay focused on staying balanced and giving my best effort. Unpredictable weather. Frustrated reaction. The rain ruined everything. Mindful acceptance. It's raining and it is as it is, which means I've accepted it. I'll adjust my strategy to stay safe and perform my best. Any thoughts on all that, Sam? The frustrated reaction and the mindful acceptance.
Well, I think I've done all of them backwards for most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Frustration is a big part for me.
Mm-hmm.
It is what it is. To be frustrated, not face it head on or whatever doesn't solve it. So, yeah, if you can stand back and look at it logically, it's a lot simpler to deal with.
Yep.
But if you're always upset, I've known some very good riders that could ride with anybody, but they couldn't get beat.
Mm-hmm.
Then we're all going to get beat. So you have to deal with it. And they would really carry on about it. Hey, well, you get beat.
Yep.
Face it. Move on.
Yep. And great transition. You know, when you think of that example of somebody not being able to win every single time and getting frustrated from that, you know, when you think of rodeo, so much is out of our control. The draw, you don't get a say. You don't get to go pick your bronc or your bull or your calf or your steer. The arena conditions, hey, you know, it's been great weather here for the last 3 nights of competition, and now I'm going to run in ankle-deep mud, right? We don't get to control that. We don't get to control the behavior of the animal we're going to crawl on, the bull, the bronc, whatever. And trying to control what you can't. Trying to control what you can't control leads to stress and frustration. I mean,
and I'll throw another big factor in there being the judges.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Big factor.
And when you try to control stuff that you can't control, I mean, logically, Sam, you would look at me and go, what are you doing? You don't get to be there for the draw. You can't make it not rain. Why are you so focused on this? And so accepting those conditions, I want to say this, doesn't mean giving up. You're not giving up. It means letting go of the resistance. And resistance consumes energy. Okay? And you got to have energy to do what you're going to do. It means letting go of that resistance to the draw, to the arena conditions, to all the things we talked about, and focusing your energy on what you can control. And really, when it really comes down to it, only stuff you can control is you. You can control your mindset. You can control your preparation. and you get to control your response to challenges. But we have to have awareness. And if I'm focused on what I don't want, I'm not going to be able to make good decisions. I'm not going to. And so we have to be able to respond in the face of those challenges. And you've had it, Sam. You've had a bronc go down the chute and they give you a re-ride. You've had a bronc that comes out and falls and they give you a re-ride. So we have to be at our best when we have to make those decisions in the rodeo arena. And we're seeing decisions, Sam, when re-rides are being offered. We see it in the PBR when re-rides are being passed up. And in the old days, that wasn't the way it was. It didn't matter what you scored, right? If you were offered a re-ride, you got on, didn't you? Or do you remember times back in the day when you would turn down a re-ride?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
You just did. And now, if they're sore, they'll turn it down. And if they, especially if it's a three head average with a short go, like most of the PBRs are, they'll turn it down then because they got to score.
They got to score.
Knowing if they get 2 more scores, they're in very sound.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a business decision, and I don't regret it. When they first came out with the team and offered a re-ride, and Ross Coleman was the coach, I said, he's going to tell them to take the re-ride, and they shouldn't have, because they had a score.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I said, he is old school toughness. Okay, that's what you do.
Yeah.
As it went on, they realized, wait, we're a bull ahead. Let's keep the score 90% of the time now.
Yep.
They'll keep the score because they got it right.
You bet.
So
you bet. And that's just how rodeo has evolved, Sam. And it's evolving faster and faster with technology and everything, but the mindset has changed. We talked about the new rule, the markout rule in the IFYR, which, no longer do you not get a score if you miss a bronc out, but there will be point deductions. And give us your thoughts on that, Sam.
I was on the fence for a while, but I like it. I really like it because there's so many variables. Right down to, of course, rare out of there, it's almost impossible to mark out. None of them are impossible, but almost. The judgment call and run you down the gate, you pull your leg down. You didn't hit nothing, but you pull your leg down to keep from getting your toe ripped back. I like it, and I think it's probably going to be the future, not only in the IFYR, but all over. It might take 10 years, but the average fan in the stand, the guy just made a great ride, but he's got a 0. How come? Yeah, you bet. And let's face it, we're something of entertainment. Mm-hmm. And
for sure,
if they don't understand it, they're not entertained.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a hard sell, Sam. That's a hard. How do you explain that to somebody? You saw, had he marked them out, they might have seen an 83 or 84 point ride. Or a score, I should say. They still saw that ride, that ability, but they didn't get rewarded with a score. So I'm with you. I'm a fan of it. It's always been such a heavy consequence to not penalize, but rather to simply disqualify, because you miss them out. And what I mean by penalizing, if you break a barrier, you've got a penalty, right? Plus 10 or whatever the case may be. You pick up one hind leg instead of 2, you pick up 5 seconds penalty. So I think this moves in that direction, and I'm actually a fan to see it. But kind of getting back to this mindset, this rodeo mindset, if it is as it is, when we can adopt this, Sam, it reduces stress. Fighting reality creates tension and anxiety. Acceptance creates calm. And we get to gain clarity. When you stop wishing things were different, you focus on the facts and you focus on solutions. And finally, we perform better. A clear, focused mind leads to better decisions and quicker reactions. And maybe an example of this. Remember, I pressed out the kind of the wall sit challenge, and doing it long enough that the pain sets in. And the reality is, Sam, that pain is real. It is real. It's in your core. It's in your thighs. It's a little bit of everything. And
It's real, Doug. Trust me. It's real.
and if I push back against it, Sam, if I don't accept it, it is as it is. The pain is real. My focus is on the pain. Okay? And if the pain is my main focus, my energy is focused on not wanting what is the pain. And I suffer in my mind. If I allow the pain, if I can accept the pain, it is part of it, or the pain, it is as it is. I accept the pain. I breathe through the pain. I think in the experiment you may find that the pain actually lessens while it's still there. It doesn't maybe have the intensity of the pain when I was focused on it. So being aware of it, but also being aware of the weather and being aware of the temperature and being aware of where I'm sitting and what I'm seeing and what I'm smelling, opening up all the senses. And I want to say a word on suffering. And I mentioned this a little bit. And suffering is the feeling of pain, distress, or hardship. It can be physical, like when you're hurt or sick, or it can be emotional, like when you feel sad, worried, or frustrated. Suffering happens when things don't go the way we want, when we lose something or someone important, or when we struggle with difficult situations. And this goes back to the belief, Sam, that we can control things. And suffering lives in the mind. Most suffering does. It happens because of how we think about and react to the events in our lives. While pain or hard times may be avoidable, suffering is often the result of our mental and emotional response. And here's where emotional suffering actually comes from. Number one, fighting reality. Back to what we've been talking about. Suffering comes when we resist the truth of what's happening. If we wish things were different or refuse to accept reality, it creates stress and unhappiness. And it's the truth. It is happening. To resist is futile. We are burning up energy. Another way that suffering lives in the mind, we hold on too tightly. When we depend too much on people, things, or outcomes to make us happy, we suffer when those things don't go as planned or are taken away. And we know that happiness comes from within us. Number three, fear of the future. Worrying about what could go wrong or being afraid of what might happen causes us suffering even if the situation hasn't happened yet. Sam, you had a great analogy. You said eating soup with a fork. We're worried. Number four, regret about the past. Reliving mistakes. You talked about this, reliving mistakes, losses, or bad experiences from the past keep us stuck and adds unnecessary pain. And you brought this up, Sam, forgiveness, forgiving ourselves. And actually, sometimes it's forgiving those that we have slighted, that we've offended, and those that, of course, slight us and offend us. but forgiving. Forgiving is giving up the grievance that I hold. It's letting go. Another concept is turning it over. Turning it over to God, letting Him have it, and He'll take it. Number 5, making pain part of your identity. When we see pain as a part of who we are, thinking things like, this always happens to me, will make suffering worse by believing it will never change. There's a sense of hopelessness. I'm in that victim mindset. Stuff happens to me. So how to ease the suffering? Focus on the present. We talked about this in our last episode. Stay in the moment instead of worrying about the past or future. Accept what you can't change. Accept what you can't control. Let go of fighting reality. We talked about perspective earlier. Change your perspective, which is to change your outlook, which is to change your mind about something. And instead of looking at the past and a mistake as something that's horrible, look for the lesson or an opportunity in these challenges that come our way. Let go of expectations. Don't cling too tightly to specific outcomes. And finally, practice gratitude. We talked about that at the beginning of the show. This is the season. Focus on what's good in your life right now. Suffering is part of being human, but much of it comes from how we think and how we react. And with practice, we can learn to ease this suffering, and it is replaced at that point by peace. So how can we build that? How can we build that it is as it is mindset? Mindfulness, which we've talked about, rodeo mindfulness, starts with awareness. We talked about that last episode. Awareness, just as a reminder, means noticing and understanding what's happening around you and inside you. We build our awareness muscle as we practice. And we practice so it's there when we call upon it. And right now you could ask yourself these questions to really build that awareness. What's the temperature like? How would you describe it? What do you hear? What do you smell? And I love this one. What are you thinking about? And just ask yourself, are your thoughts calm and focused or scattered and anxious? As we practice awareness, we anchor ourselves to the present moment, which creates that foundation for focus and clarity. And we can quiet the mind. Once you're aware of the moment, your next step is quieting your mind. We've talked about that. Breathing exercises, mentally rehearsing success, those affirmations, I should say, like I trust my training and my instincts. I am calm, focused, and ready. I can handle whatever comes my way. I am a machine when it comes to marking out a bronc. If we put that thought pattern into our minds, then we begin to accept it is as it is. And I want to talk a little bit about events, these things that are around us all the time. There's events going on all around us. People saying that are changing lanes without signals, or things that may affect us, may not affect us, but these things are going on all around us all the time. And your perspective, your worldview, how you see the world, how you think about the world shapes your experience. It is said that all events are neutral. All events are neutral, meaning that the events themselves do not have any built-in meaning, value, or emotional weight. They simply happen. The meaning comes from how we interpret and react to them and the meaning that we put on them. For example, drawing a specific bull in a rodeo is just a fact. One rider might see it as a positive, thinking, this bull scores high, I have a chance to win big. While another might see it as a negative, thinking, this bull is tough to ride, I'm likely to get bucked off. The bull hasn't changed, but the interpretation has. This idea doesn't mean ignoring the challenges of the draw, but recognizing that our emotions are shaped by how we think about it. By seeing events as neutral, as factual, we can focus on preparing and responding constructively instead of being controlled by negative interpretations. And then we can shift from a victim to a creator mindset. And the question is, am I seeing this challenge as a victim or a creator? A victim mindset focuses on problems and what can't be controlled. Their language is, my language is, when I'm a victim in the victim mindset, why does this always happen to me? And the creator mindset, my creator mindset, can focus on solutions and what you can do. My language might be, this is tough, but I'll figure it out. And when we recognize we're in that victim mindset, where everything happens to us, and we know better because we've studied a bit, we've listened to folks talk about the victim mindset and the creator mindset, we know that it's possible to shift from the victim mindset to the creator mindset. And it's really a very specific, easy question, which is, what do I want? What do I want? And when we find is when I'm clear about what I want, I can create a vision and I can begin to move towards that vision. And we find as we focus on what we want, it starts to fuel us up. And we find that the answers come and our behavior responds in a positive way. And we go out and take those baby steps towards that vision. And it really helps, and we've talked about this already, Sam, is being able to reframe challenges as opportunities to learn and to grow. So just kind of a reminder here for practicing some of the tips for practicing mindfulness in rodeo, that pre-performance routine. Sam, you talked about it, taking deep breaths, blowing it out before you step over to get on the bronc. Number 2, grounding in the moment. Use your senses to anchor yourself, feel the rain, hear the crowd, smell the arena. This is where I am. I'm alive in this moment. Here is where I am. And then there's the post-performance reflection. This is where, Sam, after a ride or a run, we ask ourselves, and this is based on facts. This is based on facts. The more facts we can get, whether that's video or that's a mentor that's going to be honest with us and give us the right feedback. Number 1, as Tom CARNEY said, what went well? Find 3 things that you did right. That you did right. And then with kindness to ourselves, without judgment on ourselves. Judgment's a big part of this suffering mechanism, by the way. Judgment is what leads us to hold on to those grievances that we find we need to forgive. That's what puts stuff in our closet. Judgment of ourselves, judgment of others, other feeling judged by another. But stepping back and without judgment, what can I improve? What are the facts? What are the facts? And, okay, I want to work on my mark out. He's beat me out when the bronc turns out to the left side. Well, how can I apply what I learned into my practice, into my visualization. Can I practice on a saddle horse? Can I practice on the bucking machine? What can I practice on? And really, I'm getting down to how can I apply what I learned to the next performance. And here's something, Sam, we talked about it, something we aren't good at. With just our mindset here, we don't celebrate the wins, the successes, large or small. And I was thinking today as I was preparing for this conversation, Sam, we can build a practice of celebrating. We can build a practice of acknowledging success. And it doesn't have to be huge, but just that mindset of that positive rolling forward mindset that I'm achieving goals or I'm successful in this thing that I had to go to work on. And I think we need to build that practice. And we talked about this, Sam. When the rodeo's over, relax. Rest up mentally as well as physically. Refill your energy glass. Refill your energy glass. And what I mean by that, there's certain things that we do, and you probably have experienced this, Sam. There's certain things that we do that take the energy from us. They are consumer of energy. And there's things that we do that produce energy as we are doing them. Things we love, being in the zone. When we're relaxed, we're filling up our energy. We're refilling our fuel tank. But we have to be intentional about that. And finally, be honest with ourselves. Do I remember my whys? Because sometimes, Sam, when you come down and you fall in the mud and you got mud all over your chaps and now you got to clean up, hose them off and go down the road, remember that why that we talked about. Why do I rodeo? Thoughts, Sam? Thoughts? I know I covered a lot there.
Yeah, you did. You covered a lot. It was really good. I think it's for the average person, it's going to be a lot to take in, but we need to listen to it. The thing that stood out to me the most was the frustration and how I deal with it. I can't control other people. I get frustrated and you want to. You just need to let it go. And just let it go because you can't control them. Give it to God and see how it works out.
You bet. You bet. Well said. The only thing that we can control, Sam, and we talked about this, the only thing that I can control is how I respond to any single situation. Right? If someone is talking down to me or is angry with me or whatever, all I can do, I can't control them. All I can do is control how I respond. And by embracing the mindset of it is as it is, you let go of resistance, you focus on what matters, and you open yourself to learning and growth, which is what this whole series is about. How do we develop and how do we grow? So just a couple things. Remember, when you don't want what is or what was, you suffer. Accepting reality creates clarity and peace. And with awareness, focus, and quieting your mind, you can perform at your best no matter what challenges come your way. Sam, in our next episode, we're going to spend a little more time on the past. We're going to be learning how we can learn from the past. Any final words before we say goodnight?
Well, I look forward to the next episode, and I hope everybody gets something out of these because I am.
Okay. Well, I appreciate that, and thank you. Thank you. And a reminder to our listeners, we got a BTC Facebook page. Go on there, give us comments. You want to have a conversation, instant message me. Doug Simcox on Facebook, Beyond the Chutes on Facebook. You can send me an email. You can send Sam an email. It's Doug at beyondthechutes.show and Sam at beyondthechutes.show. You want to have a conversation, a phone call, give me a call. I love the subject. Sam enjoys talking about these subjects. So let's build that rodeo community, that support mechanism, and Sam and I are part of that. So until next time, stay mindful, stay present, and we'll see you down the trail. This is
Sam Swearingen
and Doug Simcox. Thank you for listening.